Hello, social media world. I'm Ambassador Terry, along with the marvelous
Linda Vettrus-Nichols.
and dear friends and colleagues of Linda's that I'm going to enjoy talking to as much as you are, Jenny Landgren and Dorrit Karlsen. Welcome, ladies. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
This is very cool.
Thank
So,
you, Terry.
so the subject of curiosity came up this week with the High Vibe Women of Heart. And so I thought it'd be a great subject to chat about, especially with Jenny and Dorrit, because Jenny talks about being curious just in like normal conversations instead of reacting and going like, what? And Dorrit talks about being curious in your marriage, being curious in finding a breeder, being curious as to asking yourself questions like, okay, I'm going to let my dog do this one time. No, it doesn't work that way. Right? So she's very aware of imprints and being curious with yourself to understand what you might be imprinting that you really didn't want imprinted. So this ought to be a great conversation. How about you, Ambassador Terry? Curiosity, what comes up for you?
Well, the old adage is curiosity killed the cat. Who knows? Anyone that are watching today, or certainly these ladies as well, know that I am a very curious person and very open-minded. So the subject of this was intriguing, and I look forward to more of it. So I'm just going to add in as I can and enjoy this conversation.
All right, Jenny, do you want to take off? Because in
Sure.
the High Vibe Women with Heart stories of genuine transformations, you wrote about being curious even in a conversation. So I'd love it if you would share some of your thoughts on that word, curiosity.
Sure. I'd be very happy to connect it to what I am seeing right now. I'm working as a management and business developer, as a behavioral science expert within a company that supports corporate clients in getting through the pandemic and finding a new normal on the other side of it. And what I am seeing right now is that teams and employees are very, very frustrated. There are a lot of frustration and a lot of angry groups out there. And what comes up for me on curiosity right now is that the main tip to you as a leader in this post-pandemic situation, in this new normal, is to embrace the mindset of curiosity. Because we have gone through a collective trauma. People have been in survival mode, and they are now reacting to what has been. And I trust that everyone has done their best through this pandemic. And now there's a reaction to the situation that we have all dealt with. So meeting our teams that might be disappointed or bringing up their troubles after having, finally started to relax as we're beginning to be on the other side of this. I just encourage you to get really curious, because when we get curious as to, what is it in this friction that we can learn from, that we can grow through? When we embrace that curious mindset, we actually become more observing than reacting. And we need that sense of perspective and calm where we are at right now in our companies. So that's what's coming up for me.
I love it.
That's profound. Thank you. Wow. I knew this was going to be great. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We're still talking.
We're still talking.
Linda?
I'm still talking. How about you? So, Dorrit, I'd love you to jump in and what comes up for you when you think about curiosity, like in marriage or raising kids or as a breeder?
Oh, the topic of curiosity is enormous. I mean, curiosity has been the driving force for humanity since the dawn of time. I mean, that's how we discovered things. We were curious. We tried things. We explored, and because of that curiosity, meals were invented, and science and technology, and everything is kind of founded on this curiosity that people have, this urge to try things, to explore and find out how things work. So for me, in the first thing that came up was actually a story about my sister. Can I share?
Please, yeah, I love your stories.
My sister is 11 years older than me, and this was told to me by my mother, or our mother.
Right.
She was, my sister was very, very curious, especially in her teens and early 20s. And this one was when she was in her teens, and as one did in the summer, we tried to get some tan, and my sister was on the terrace of my parents' house, and our parents' house is like in an intersection, so there are roads crossing right in front of the house.
Right.
And my sister was so curious, and my mother, or our mother, heard her just mumbling from the terrace, like, "Oh, this is so stressful." Because every time a car went by or someone walked by, my sister jumped up and had to put something, to cover herself, but she had to see who was going past or who was driving past. She couldn't just lay there and
Right.
get tanned. She just had to see. So curiosity can be very stressful.
Right.
But for me, it's really important to be curious when it comes to the dog breeding, especially. I'm always on about the dog breeding, but that's how I get to find the best dogs to mate. That's how I get to find the best techniques to use to like you said, imprint the puppies, and by being curious, asking a lot of questions, that's how I find the best puppy buyers. So I use curiosity from the moment I wake up until the moment I close my eyes.
Right.
So and with also, as you say, in marriage, if we stop being curious about each other, if there are nothing that you want to know or want to learn or want to explore with your partner, then it kind of loses its interest, in my opinion. So
yeah, you always say it's the little things that keep the fire going in a marriage. So I love your take on love languages too. So that's great. Let's switch back to Jenny for a minute. Jenny, when you talk about just even having a conversation with someone and they say something that doesn't really resonate well with you, you want to speak to that a little bit? Like,
sure.
The importance of curiosity and how that connects us?
Yeah, and this really came up as you were speaking, Dorrit, because what is it that makes us curious? Hi, everyone. Or hey, as we say in Sweden. So cool to see you all. What is it that makes us curious? To me, it's understanding the value of embracing another person's perspective. It's understanding that in listening and in engaging and discovering and exploring and embracing this view of life, that it is a journey, it is the lessons along the way that is the goal. I can see how we really grow together. When I meet a person that has a completely different view than my own, that's a place for me to also self-reflect. I get to understand who I am in relation to this person and their unique view on life. That's a gift to me.
Right.
I've learned the most from the people who are the most different from myself.
Mm-hmm.
Does any of you have that experience? That same experience?
Well, and I love how you talk about, get, and also like I've heard you say, this is where I end and you begin, right?
Acceptance. Yeah, that's the
I
acceptance
just
piece
love
of it.
that. Yeah. Is that how you label it? The acceptance of it?
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much. Yeah. Kind of the idea of even like letting go, because you can't control how others think or feel, and certainly can't control how they were raised or what their perception of the world is.
Right.
Very cool.
I would add there also is what their perception of the world is at that moment.
There's a good one too.
You can have the most marvelous day and something severe or high emotion happens, and then you come into this context and how do you react? You're like, okay, I got to get my stuff together. I'm about to talk to the boss or whatever. The moment is extremely powerful as well.
Right. So as leaders, remembering that second to second, human beings shift, their emotions shift, their perceptions shift, their reality shifts.
Right.
And you just don't know where anyone is at any given moment. So just that idea of connecting and checking in with one another. I know that's helped us in our marriage, and we came together not knowing each other's triggers, as we came together so quickly. So yeah, that got interesting as well, as you guys know that story.
How you receive, how you receive.
Yeah, all we have is our our filters and our view. And it's so much about the self-compassion piece as well, because we will be able to hold that space for another person to be where they are on their journey in the moment, when we recognize that we ourselves are works in progress.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really about that compassion as well.
Yeah. Again, letting go, right? Just letting go of that perfection thing. So Dora, I'd love for you to share on the love language. You've got such cute stories there. Not realizing, even like in your marriage, each other's love language. Do you want to share a quickie on that?
Share a quickie?
Perception.
There's a meaning to that. There's another meaning to that.
Of course. Yeah. I'm quite fascinated by the love language. And when I first learned about it, my youngest daughter was only 3 years old, and we went to like Christian camp for children. So I was only there to kind of accompany her. It was for the children. And it was the first time she was going to sleep away from her own bed and things like that. So they had education for us adults when the kids were playing and things like that. And they introduced me to this concept of knowing how other people perceive love.
Wow.
Not the way we show it, but the way that people understand it. So, and that was kind of like for me, because I thought that when you said to someone that you love them, that they would automatically feel it, or yeah. So when I realized that there were many ways to show love and many ways that people feel love, I kind of went into investigating my own kids, of course, and the hubby. So, and when you kind of find that biggest one for each one, and you can use that, and they actually feel it so much more, that's a game changer.
Right.
So for instance, my son, we always were a bit annoyed with him because he seemed ungrateful. Whenever he got a gift, he just kind of glanced at it and thank you, and he kind of tossed it away. And we were like, oh, he's so ungrateful, and we give it with love, and he should be more grateful. But what his love language was quality time. He wanted to spend time with us. He wanted me to kind of just be there with him, sit with him when he was doing his homework, or
Right.
or take an interest in the games that he was playing, or whatever, things like that. Watch his karate practice, spend time in his world, so to speak. So for him, the gifts have no meaning.
Yeah.
But then my husband's youngest daughter, for her it was gifts. So if she got a gift, even though it was a refrigerator magnet or whatever, how small it was, she was on the clouds. She was like, oh, she felt so appreciated and so loved. And so for her it was like, we had to, what we still do, she's nearly 30,
right?
We still give her gifts, to let her know that we care, But for my son, I can just go down to his house and have a cup of coffee because I know that he wants me and my time. So
Thank you for bringing that up, because it's the same thing about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is about leading people the way they need to be led.
Yes.
And it takes that empathy and that curiosity to hold that space for another person. I love that you bring up that example and how it relates to showing love.
Well, I love it, guys. Thank you so much. What a power-packed little episode this was. I love it.
This is great. I can't wait to do more. Thank you, ladies, for coming.
My pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.